Cambodia is hot. Most Americans' knowledge of Cambodia is limited to Pol Pot and the dead Kennedys. But what all Americans should know is that Cambodia is rapidly becoming the front line in the fight against global capitalism and patriarchy. And the fiercest fighters on that front line are the LRSU, the union representing workers at the behemoth Malaysian billionaire-owned hotel and casino known as NagaWorld. This is Sitar, LRSU president and likely the pound-for-pound most important militant trade unionist on the planet. Sitar was a rank-and-file worker for a year before getting involved in the LRSU.
To be more active in the union, at first I start as union dues collector. So people trust me, so I have, because when they fire all the union leaders, they stop collect union dues for union too. So it is important for the union to continue their work if the workers still paying dues to the union. So when the company stop collect the union for us, then we have to do it by ourselves. And I the one who have the unions collect the union dues for unions and join with all meeting and activity with the unions until I've been noticed by the worker that I'm been active in union. Then in 2012, I was elected as a vice president for my first mandate, and then president up until now.
After Sitar was elected president in 2012, everything changed.
When I become the president, I mean in the leadership of the unions, we start to re-strategize and reactivate our unionisms in company by negotiating with the company about living wage and about working conditions, and especially the protection to women workers from harassments and violence from customers. That we've been very active and really committed to fighting for those benefits and protection to our worker at workplace. So in 2013, I lead first strike for 13 days, demanding for living wage, and we won the strike. The worker from casino department got wage increase from 120 to 200, which is around 80%, and then the worker from the hotel got wage increase from $90 to $150, and this is very big amount and a very big victory for us. And since then, the union become very famous, and people, the worker, start to join union. More and more come to join the union, and in 2019 we have 4,000 out of 8,000 of workers join the unions. And again in 2019 we start another living wage campaigns after the company make a lot of profit in 2019, and the campaign led to the strike in early 2020, and we won the strike again. After we won the second strike in 2020, then the pandemic happens. The company again put the worker safety behind their profit by reject our request to suspend the business when we found there's infected COVID-19 case within customer and worker, and the unions has play a very important role to protect worker, to make sure that they are safe at work, because at the times when the first hit of COVID-19 in Cambodia and the world, we don't have vaccine yet, and we found a lot of underlying health condition worker in NagaWorld that can be put in very high risk if they are affected by COVID-19. So we demand the company to suspend the business, to test the worker, and to disinfect the entire workplace before they continue. But sadly, the company refused our demand. Then the worker have no choice but to boycott, to go to to work for 1 week. Then the company agreed to suspend the business. But after that, it looks like the company trying to take revenge on the union by announcing the mass layoff plan with 1,329 workers to be laid off, but 1,100 are union leaders and members in the list of the layoff. So this is we could see very clear that this company is trying to get rid of union again.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, like many employers in Cambodia and around the world, NagaWorld used the pandemic as an excuse to roll back worker rights and attempt to bust the union.
During the pandemic, the unions agree with the discuss with the worker, and then we agree with the company to reduce working hour. So we work up only 50% of working hours. The rest remain unpaid leave at home. So this idea brought by union is to avoid the layoff because we don't want any worker to be laid off during the pandemic. So it's been more than a year that we practicing like that, reducing working hours to all workers. And other benefit being cut also, like the bonus and then the incentive and other incentive that we used to get, normally get every year, all being cut, and we just agree with the company so that everybody can survive. Means we want to use the company expand also during the pandemic, so to keep worker job. But in the result in 2020, the company make 102 million in net profits, even there's a pandemic. But still, they still announcing and lay off the 1,300 worker, which include 1,100 leader and union member.
Okay. What happened after that?
So after they announcing the mass layoff, the union have tried to negotiate and find any other options with the company by not. The mass layoff that the company lay off the worker during the pandemic is a very bad choice, while we have a lot of other choice, not lay off the worker. But the company still refused to accept our request, and we still continue to file complaint to Ministry of Labor here in Cambodia. And we use all the dispute resolution procedure and steps, all steps to find solution. But 8 months there's no solution to stop the company from continue the layoff plan, which is target all union leader and member. Then the worker have no choice but to vote for the strike. And they start the strike on December 18 up until now.
After 1,300 workers were laid off in December of 2021, the union called another strike, but this time, 11 of their leaders, including Sitar, were violently arrested and imprisoned.
11 of our activists and elected leaders were arrested and put and detained, and then few days later, me was arrested on January 4 and was detained also for 9 weeks in prison. And even though all the elected leaders and activists, the key activists, detained in the prison, but the workers are still continue to strike, and the number is quite strong that the worker is still continue to strike. But sadly that eventually the strike being crushed down by the government using the COVID as an excuse to break down the strike, because there's a COVID law here in Cambodia that stop the worker or the people from gathering. So eventually they use the COVID law to stop the strike and force our member to do the quarantine for like 2 weeks, and some of our member also being charged with the COVID law because they are disobey or go against the COVID safety guideline, kind of that accused, and then 3 other member being detained also for about 5 weeks. I was arrested on January 4, 2022, and the way that I've been arrested is so aggressive and it's horrible. Around tens of big body men just run over me and grab me like they are grabbing some things, not the humans, and then pull me over, put me in the car, and they bring me to the detention center at the police station for 1 night, and then immediately they bring me to the court for the questions until late evening, and then tomorrow send me back to question again until evening, then they send me to the prisons. So in the prison for the first 3 weeks we could not meet anyone, even the family and the lawyer, because they used a COVID law as an excuse for the quarantine. 3 weeks in the prison, so we live in a very crowded rooms, not enough water. Sometimes we have to wait until like 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning so that we can have a shower, and then we have to buy or to cook. We have to buy food from other prisoner. Otherwise, we cannot accept or take it at all. The food provided by the center, by the prisons, is a horrible food, and very limited access to facility. Things that we have to use daily, like shower, shampoo, blanket or pillow or mattress is almost nothing there, that we have to sleep barely on the floor. But we have to expend like 3 or 4 times more than normal price if we want to have that kind of things to use in the prisons. And then after the quarantine 3 weeks, we were put in the cell with other prisoners. So my room with 76 prisoner in the room, and some other colleagues were put in like 150 prisoner in the cell, and it's very crowded. We have very small space for sleep and not enough water the same to use like other prisoner. So it's been very horrible inside of the prison, and we were being surveilled by the guard, also by the security guard also, that who we talk to. Even though when we meet with the family, when we are allowed to meet the family, there will be always a security guard to stay there and write down and record on whatever we're talking with the family, and they not allow us to talk about work, especially about the strike. The family cannot tell us anything about is what happening outside with the strike, but they just can come and ask me, how are you? That's only the question that we can ask and we talk about.
Today, the government is not even using the COVID law as a basis for their attacks on the workers. Instead, strikers are rounded up, thrown on buses as soon as they show up, and shipped 20 miles outside of the city and forced to find their way back.
The current state of the strike, even though there's no more use of COVID law, which is require our member to quarantine, to quarantine in a dirty, no food and no water quarantine center, but the workers almost cannot strike at all because the government just baseless. I mean, before at least they used the COVID law to stop worker from the strike, but now they don't even base on any law to stop the worker from strike, but they just every day push the worker onto the bus, which is provided by the government, and the China aid bus provided by the government, and drive them to the outskirts of the city, far from the city, and then we'll drop them back at somewhere every day in the evening when there's no more crowd. So the worker have to find their own transportation to come back home every day, and they will never can get near to strike in front of NagaWorld.
This is Paul Lin, president of the Cambodian Food and Service Worker Federation, of which the LRSU is an affiliate. Paul Lin says that the fact that the labor movement in Cambodia is woman-led is critical.
If the women lead the union, corruption is less. This is my experience. And the second, the women have the feeling as a mother. Like you see the member when they are suffering with the economic, with their family, I feel like we are as the mother to support them, to talk to them, and they feel that confident to talk with the women than the male. And the third is about, you know, I saw the experience that when the male organizer, they also take opportunity with the victim, with the women, by sometimes lobby and sleep with the women member. That is just like, you know, you are not have a good heart to support the worker while they are living in the bad condition. So this is what I saw and I learned. And therefore, women have a strong spirit. It's about, like we learn from Naga, mostly the male already changed the position because of the money. But the women still struggle even though they have the family responsible. But they never and not yet change the position because of the money. They are struggle the same as male, but they still continue fighting, not give up. And what I learned from the history, another history, I learned that the women still living in the inequality. So women keep fighting until now in our society, in the modern country. But women still fighting for gender equality. We still talking about that issue in the labor movement, in the society, in the community, and also got the violence at their family. So this is very big challenge for the women. They are struggle in their daily life. So I feel that women must be involved in the union movement, less corruption, and support to other workers. If the union no corruption, I believe that we can build trust with the worker and support more labor movement stronger and stronger. Because no corruption, worker can join and trust.
One constant theme from both of these union leaders is the need for workers around the world to unite.
It's really important because it's about union. When they hurt someone, it means hurt the people around the world. This is the definition of union. That's why we're organizing. It's not about, this is Cambodian people, we should not involve. So why we need to organize as the working class? It means working class everywhere around the world. If they hurt one, it means hurt everyone in the world. Like the women worker from Naga, they get harassment from the local authority, from the government, and the government already proved that they are protect the employer, not protect the worker. And they are not easy to fight with that, I can say, mafia business. It's not easy. You must stand with them and support them as much as we can. And then another thing, the leader not afraid to stay in jail. And we know that when we fight with that employer, it must be challenged. We must be go to the jail. We must be have another accident, make up. We don't know what happened. Because I believe what they do, it just like make the worker in Cambodia afraid to fight, to strike with the employer. It's not, I can say it's not about the Naga with the employer. It's about they want to prove another worker in Cambodia. If you are fighting, if you are go on strike, this is the result. You see, this is the Naga result. So we want to give a hope to workers in our country. Organizing, you can win. But if we try to fight and not win, what is the new generation they hope? What we can tell them that you must be organized and challenge with the employer to change the working condition, to increasing wage. But when the result is fail, what we could tell another people or worker, organize and fight and win. And the third point, as they are women workers, they are keep struggle every day. They got harassment and fight and hit harassment violation from the local authority, but they are not give up. They keep fight. So all of you must be not stay in silence. Keep fight with them. Keep speak up and keep support them as you are the union. As I say, if they hurt one, they hurt all. So we must stand with them and support them.
American workers should relate to the story of greedy casino bosses using the pandemic as an excuse to roll back worker rights and bust the unions. It's right out of a playbook being used in the United States and around the world. In these uncertain and confusing times, one thing is clear. The capitalist and anti-worker governments around the world are united. Their greed and exploitation can flow effortlessly across all borders. The only remedy is for working people around the world to be just as united, and to let our solidarity flow just as effortlessly across all borders. Cambodia is hot. And it's about to get hotter.